Hi, this is Jay Ryan of Classical Astronomy. The Apollo program was my greatest inspiration as a child. I was 8 years old in 1969, and what a great summer that was to be 8. In July of 1969, I accompanied my grandmother on a Florida vacation. We were in Miami over the 4th of July, and we saw all kinds of wonderful things. But there was only one place in Florida that I wanted to see, and that was Cape Kennedy. On the drive home to Ohio, we stopped at Kennedy Space Center 1 week before the launch of Apollo 11. Here's me in the rocket garden at Kennedy Space Center, wearing my Will Robinson shirt. In those early days of spaceflight, you didn't have a Florida-style tourist trap like you do today. You simply caught a tour bus in front of the main administration building, and they took us on a tour around the entire base. At one point, we got off the tour bus at the Vehicle Assembly Building, where the giant moon rockets were assembled. They let us go inside the VAB, where we saw the top sections of Apollos 12 and 13 that were under construction. No cameras, however, inside the building. But can you imagine? It was the height of the Cold War, and they let us inside the building to see the great work that was being done? They won't let you anywhere near that place today. Here's me standing in front of one of the giant crawlers that carried the Saturn V Apollo rockets from the Vehicle Assembly Building to the launch pad. These were still used in the Space Shuttle program for 30 years thereafter. Those crawlers did good service to their country. The highlight of that tour and of my entire childhood was seeing Apollo 11 on the launch pad. These might not be the greatest photos you'll ever see of Apollo 11, but it's not everybody who has actual family photos of the first rocket to send men to walk on the moon. The next week, I watched the launch of Apollo 11 on TV from our home in Cleveland, Ohio. Wouldn't it have been great if our Florida vacation could have only been a week later, so that we might have been there in person? For the next 4 days, I eagerly followed the flight of Apollo 11 from the Earth to the Moon. It was late at night when the first moonwalk finally took place. The whole world watched this with great excitement, and I was one of the many. But honestly, the picture was kind of grainy and the sound was kind of bad, but you had to appreciate it was a TV signal coming from 250,000 miles away. In the days and months and years that followed, I heard the memorable words that were uttered from the moon. But honestly, I couldn't pick them out on the first hearing. Nonetheless, it did not dampen my youthful excitement for witnessing that historic moment. At one point, I went outside on my front porch and I looked up at the moon, which was going down in the west. I thought to myself, wow, there's a couple of guys there, right now. No one can ever deny that or take that away from me. And for that one day, everybody in the whole world felt the same thing. We all felt the awe and wonder of humanity's greatest adventure. In my opinion, the successful voyage of Apollo 11 to and from the moon is the single greatest human achievement in all history. The lunar module navigated over a field of boulders as they were running out of gas, and they landed with only seconds of fuel to spare. This is something that the crew of Apollo 11 did together. They risked their lives together in this adventure, and are heroes because of it. It was not until many years later that I learned that lunar module pilot Buzz Aldrin had privately celebrated the Lord's Supper and read from the Gospel of John upon landing on the moon. The first official action performed on the moon was to remember Jesus through his body and blood. I'm one of the millions of people in the United States of America and around the world who thinks that this is a wonderful moment in history. We came in peace for all mankind. That's what the plaque said that was on the leg of the lunar module. The Apollo program was an inspiration to my life and in the lives of millions of men and women in my generation who pursued careers in science and engineering. Thank you to the crew of Apollo 11, and to the other astronauts of Apollo, and to all of the hundreds of thousands of men and women with NASA who made this achievement possible. A special thanks to Colonel Buzz Aldrin, Dr. Rendezvous, for his contributions to the space program, his personal inspiration to me, and for his sponsorship of Apollo 45.